Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Geeks and Noobs podcast. I am your host, Superbeard Vince Hoover, and I am joined by the OG Noob, the original, the cookie cutter format. That is
I don't
not
know about
exactly.
that.
That didn't sound right.
No. No, there
I
is no
meant the
cookie
mold.
cutter.
The mold of which we've shaped it. Y'all knew what I meant. It's the OG Noob, Denise. Welcome back. From the original version, which was Two Geeks and a Noob, which has become the Geeks and Noobs as it is now. Denise, welcome.
Thank you.
She is here to join me because she and I last Thursday went and saw Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
Oh my
Uh,
God, say that again.
yeah, we went last Thursday to see Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness in theaters in IMAX, which was amazing in and of itself. However, not all was great because there's a good chance that Denise and I got COVID from the whole situation.
Yay.
Because we went home and on Friday we were both not feeling great. Denise tested positive for COVID. I have not tested yet because for some reason the mail's decided to hold on to my test and they're not coming until Thursday. She'll take her second test on Thursday. But mainly our symptoms have been like a major sinus infection and not necessarily COVID symptoms, so we're not 100%. But we have been fighting fevers and a ton of drainage. And
Fun stuff. Yay.
and I have sneezed so hard that I've hurt my ass muscles. So there's that. In fact, I joked about this to you in text, and then before the podcast started, I did it again. I sneezed,
Oh my
and
God.
both side muscles of my ass just went, oh!
It's like a free exercise. You don't
I
have to do
can't,
anything.
I don't, if anybody knows anything about me, I don't do anything half-ass, and that even includes sneezing. Like, everything I do is at 110%, if not more. So I'm pulling muscles that should not be anywhere related to a sneeze when I sneeze. So fun times there. But we're doing better, so we're jumping on here. We do apologize to any of our fans of the Depths of Laughter podcast. We will be back next week,
Yeah.
barring any other major things. Both her and I both are feeling better, but fair warning, there will probably be a lot of sniffles, maybe some coughs and sneezes during this podcast. We will
Right.
do our best. We will do our absolute best to not do it on the microphone,
Yeah.
but
I
no
have
promises.
a mute button.
Yeah.
I have it in my hand.
So we will
This is-
try our best. Jacques mentions COVID Buns of Steel. Yeah, it's a new workout program.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Just sneeze with a slight squat.
That's hilarious.
5
I
of
love
those a
it.
day.
You're good to go.
Yeah.
What you gonna do with all that junk inside that trunk?
Pull a muscle when I sneeze. But
Nobody knows what it means, but it's provocative.
but
Gets people going.
was the movie worth getting COVID over? I guess that's the question.
I mean,
I think so. That's a terrible thing to say. The reality is, like, I was gonna go see it on Sunday, but if, like I said, with all this going on, we're quarantined just in case. We're quarantining just in case. So we couldn't go and see it again yet, but we both do want to see the movie again.
yeah, I feel like you have to.
Yeah, there's
just
a lot
going on.
This movie, it hits 100 miles an hour the second it starts, and it never lets up. And this is something you and I talked about in the car ride home.
Yeah.
It's incredibly hard for a movie, especially 2-hour plus movie, to do the 100 miles an hour full bore and it be okay. Like, a lot of times you end up losing a lot of substance when you do that. This movie didn't. This movie is very good, and it handles the pace very, very well.
Yeah.
So just before we dive into the spoilers and we dive into all the different points, we have our notes. We actually took notes. Granted, we took those notes yesterday. But still, they're notes. They're taken. It's good.
Yeah.
We did our homework.
We did.
Just give your overall thoughts on the movie to start.
Jacques said try not to poop while sneezing, so that's important. That hasn't been a symptom. Thank God.
No, that's an
That'd
age
be
symptom.
horrible.
I mean, we're 40 now, so that's something we have to
wow.
worry about just because of age.
Okay, yeah, that's true.
Yeah, it's not necessarily COVID.
I really, really liked the movie, but like I told you I wasn't expecting it to be like so like Wanda focused. Like that was the one thing that I guess I had a problem with, and it's just because I'm not a Wanda Vision or even Wanda character like fan. I
Yeah.
wanted it to be like more Doctor Strange focused, but it was a really, really good movie, and I would see it again.
Yeah, I understood your concern with that, and I don't feel that. Yes, there was focus on Wanda, but that's because she was the villain. Had anybody else been the
Yeah,
villain, there would have been the equal amount of focus on that person. Because you
right.
have to focus
Yeah,
on the villain as well. I don't
yeah.
think it took away from Doctor Strange, nor do I feel
No,
like
no, no.
I don't think he was second fiddle. I feel like
It was equal. It was
I
equal
feel like he got
parts.
more focus because there was things that were
Thank you.
going on that didn't even involve him that still involved him, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Like,
that's true. Yeah,
so there was a lot of
but
things, like
yeah,
the America Chavez thing, that dealt with him. And for me, my criticism of the film, as much as I love it, is that I don't think America Chavez got enough development in the
yeah.
movie, and I almost felt like it was lazy writing her particular memory scene. There's one. Um, all right, new drinking game. Take a shot. No, just kidding. You'll
Should
be
you
you'll be
remember when we had
destroyed.
hurricanes and all the news people would say hunker down?
Yeah,
Dude, I got so messed up during hurricanes from everybody saying hunker down. Okay,
yeah,
anyway, I digress.
yes. So, um, so Jock mentioned he loved all the OG fan service, and we will get to the fan service because there's some interesting points when it comes to the fan service. But like my one critique of the film really was that I just felt that America Chavez was not fleshed out enough as a character. Obviously,
Mhm.
she's going to be in. It's very obvious by the ending of the film, she is going to be a more pivotal role in the future of the MCU,
Right?
and her abilities lead to that.
Yeah.
Um, but I
I
know that there
really.
was, as somebody who's not deep in the comics,
Mhm.
as somebody who's not as deep into the movie lore, even like you love the movies, but you're not like as deep into it as I am. I had a concern going into this, and you can tell me whether it felt this way or not. I had a concern that the multiverse was just going to open up too many doors and just be a kind of like an easy way out to answer situations kind of thing. But I
Mhm.
felt like this movie actually did a very good job of not only wrapping it up, but allowing it to be something in the future.
Mhm.
And so, like, what was your take on the multiverse in general with this?
I mean, I can see how you would say that. I can see how other people that maybe they haven't watched Ant-Man or they haven't watched Loki or talk about anything like that. I can see how like if this was the one movie that they watched and that was like what they were introduced to, I can see how that would be like overwhelming. But so yeah, so I guess I'm not that much of a noob because like I just like it felt like it's just getting more solidified. And I think Christine's role in that and how she was like pretty much like a PhD in multiverses
Yeah.
was pretty neat to see. Yeah, I'm just really Marvel's like the writers are genius and what they're doing with that concept.
Well, the
So
writer of this movie also happened to be the writer of Loki, so
yeah, so yay, that's why I
so
like
that
it's
explains a lot.
good.
In fact,
Yeah.
he's actually in the movie. If you remember the scene where Doctor Strange has to leave Christine's wedding to fight, and everybody comes out on the balcony to watch the fight with the big monster.
Yeah.
But there's Christine and her new husband, and then the tall white guy with the mustache next to them. That's Michael Wharton, the writer. So
Okay.
he got to pull a little Alfred Hitchcock and appear in
Or
the
M.
movie.
Night Shyamalan,
Yeah.
even. Yeah, that's cool.
Um, yeah. So
Or even Stephen King, he does that
he
too.
does it
So
too. Yeah.
yeah,
It all stems from Alfred Hitchcock. Everybody, it's always an
yeah.
homage to Hitchcock at this point to put yourself in movies. And all Hitchcock was doing was like, I just love myself, so here we go. Um, uh, but yeah, I think like I was worried that the multiverse would become just this like catch-all answer to everything. But like I said when we left the theater, I think they wrapped up the multiverse and also left it to where it can be used without it being a crutch.
Right.
And I think that's the best thing to come out of this movie was that instead of it being like, oh, now everything's going to be multiversal, so because multiverse almost feels like there's no consequences because you did it on another universe, it doesn't affect the MCU. Like it almost felt like things would be like that's the easy way out of a multiverse. You can just blame it on the multiverse. You can blame it on a different version.
I
And
don't
funny enough,
feel that way though. Like I feel like there is
well,
consequences,
that's the thing. That's
and
what they did right in this
yeah,
movie was that they circumvented that and showed that there's two. Um,
what
that
happens if you get to 10?
you're drunk as shit. Um, if you make it, you might die. Don't get to 10. That's terrible. That's a lot. This episode's not going to be that long.
Jacques said should have released Miss Marvel first.
I don't agree with that, and only because Miss Marvel's not going to play into any of this at all. Miss Marvel is going to be more centrally located around the character, almost like Moon Knight, except for it will play into the Marvel's movie coming up, but it'll have nothing to do with what's going on with Doctor Strange.
You would think that though, because I had no idea that Wanda would like be taking up most of his dang movie. I'm sorry, I keep going back to that because I'm like, I really wanted it to be something different. Like I understand that she's the villain, but that was like my thing.
Yeah. Well, I think, yeah, you just don't like her as a character, and I think that's the problem.
Maybe. Maybe.
Because in WandaVision, which I loved WandaVision, I thought it was a great series, but it also showed that she was so. See, her problem. See, unlike Doctor Strange, has always had an ego, right? Like,
Yeah.
he was a doctor. He knew how good he was,
Yeah.
and he let that get to his head. Then he became the Sorcerer Supreme. Requiem Augustus, welcome to chat. They agree with you. They didn't enjoy Wanda being the villain either.
Yay.
So, I mean, we can dive right into that. By the way, if you hit that follow button, you will get a dancing penguin, so that's always a great thing. So thank you, Requiem.
I need a dancing penguin. How do I do that? I haven't
But like when
subscribed
Nancy used, they introduced the characters separately, then integrated them together, and it all worked in a while. And now they're just dropping people in movies and audiences like, what the F? Okay, so what you're talking about is I think Miss Marvel is not America Chavez, Jacques. And I think that's where you're getting confused. Miss Marvel is not America Chavez. America Chavez has nothing to do with Miss Marvel. And I understand, like, for this one, it was important for America Chavez to be a part of this and to be introduced this way. But you got to remember, you're taking exception to things because you're talking about Iron Man and Hulk. They got their own movies, Captain America. But what about Wanda? Wanda was introduced in Age of Ultron. What about Black Panther? He was introduced in Civil War. What about Bucky Barnes? He was introduced in what about Falcon? They were introduced in Winter Soldier. Like, those characters a lot of times get introduced in a movie and then get their own series or movie later. Marvel's been doing that for the last 10 years. And that's what people don't realize. There's a mindset like, oh, this is new. It's not new what they're doing. They just have a new outlet with Disney Plus. They have a new outlet with Disney Plus.
He said with backstory. Like, yeah, with the backstory.
Yes, that was my problem with America Chavez. They didn't give her enough backstory in the movie.
No. It was just like, here's this chick. She has these abilities and go.
Yeah, it was just like,
That's it.
and like you get this one memory, and that's where I said the lazy writing came in. But I think part of that was because the director's cut of this movie is 40 minutes longer. And part of the reason it had to get cut down was for going from an R rating to a PG-13 rating, because Sam Raimi is a horror god. That's 3.
I'm so glad I'm not like doing Corville right now with every shot or every coffee. Man, I'd be screwed.
So yeah, I think that they did fail a little bit on America Chavez's part here. But with that being said, the way that she was done, it's kind of the MCU formula. Going back to Wanda.
Well, hold on. You're still on that. So let's talk about the diner scene since we're talking about America Chavez. Talk about that diner scene since we were talking about, like, you know, them. They did have the vision of her, like, 2 moms and
Yeah, that wasn't in the diner. That was afterwards. That was when they were in
No,
the
I
new.
know.
That's what I meant by lazy writing. Was that memory thing, which is her standing on a memory box and seeing a memory, and that's your backstory. Which,
Right, that's it. Yeah.
by the way, I mean, for all intents and purposes, that's kind of all the backstory you needed was the fact that she was this. Uh, Miss America. What do you mean by Miss America, Jacques? I'm confused by that.
I think he got it right the first time.
Yeah, the character is Miss Marvel that you're talking about, America
Yeah, yeah.
Chavez.
Or maybe he was talking about.
So Requiem
American.
thinks she had a good introduction. I don't. It didn't feel like it was forced. I don't feel it was forced.
Okay.
I felt like there was just no backstory to the character.
Yeah.
And that I'm worried that in her next appearance, it's going to have to be a lot more about her. And she's not going to get her own film. I don't see America Chavez being a character that gets her own film or even her own series on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
I don't see her getting her own series. Like she's going to be kind of tied to the multiverse because that's what her powers are.
Yeah.
She's also a young Avenger, which they've been leaning towards the Young Avengers with Kate Bishop from Hawkeye. God, I can't remember her character name, but like Scott Lang's daughter coming up in Ant-Man now that she's aged up because she didn't snap away. So she'll be playing a big part in Quantumania coming up, and she's a young Avenger. The twins, Wanda's kids, are young Avengers, Wiccan and Speed.
But we're going like way off. I think like it would be. Do you think then that her like America Chavez would show up in the next Loki thing? Like if they stick with the Loki series,
possibly. Wouldn't
it make sense that she would make an appearance in that?
That is a possibility that she would do that. Apologize for the freezing. Zoom is being. Ever since the new update with Zoom, it has been terrible. So I apologize for that, guys.
Yeah.
Denise is unfrozen, but it doesn't look like I am just yet. So I'm going to switch cameras. Give me a second. Unplug my camera.
So anyway, we were talking about like
I look like how I feel.
Scene. Yeah, right. Talk about the diner scene.
Well, the diner scene I was going to bring up a little bit later because that doesn't revolve around America Chavez so much as it revolves around what they were talking about.
Oh, okay.
But we can talk about that now.
Fine.
Since we're here.
Bring it up when you want to.
Since we're here. So, in the diner scene with America Chavez, Wong, and Doctor Strange, this is after fighting that monster that was chasing her. Hold on a second. It's 5. You have to think as well as it's the end of the day that this franchise and they're going to have replace all the old Marvel characters with young replacements. Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you do have to. That is something because you've already, Chris Evans walked away.
Yeah.
Robert Downey Jr. walked away.
Yeah.
Chris Hemsworth is most likely walking away after Thor 4.
Yeah.
That was and they have a 10-year goal from here. From right now, they've announced 10 years from now. So they knew they were going to have to get to a point where they were replacing these people.
Yeah.
And they just knew this was going to happen. So that was one of the reasons they went Young Avengers. That idea, because that gives you more longevity as well. Because the actor and the actress playing America Chavez, and I am not even going to attempt to say her name. Because it's a beautiful looking name, but I can't. She's 15 years old.
Yeah.
Haley Steinfeld is 23, 24. The actress that's playing, they just recast the actress for Scott Lang's daughter in Quantumania, but she's only like 23, 24. Obviously, the twins, they'll probably have to age them up again. But if they stick with those actors, those kids are only 12 years old.
Yeah.
So they've got time with them as well. So that's the idea behind it all is to get longevity out. They want to have, obviously big name stars that are wanting to play these parts. That's why you had Oscar Isaac in Moon Knight and Ethan Hawke in Moon Knight. That's why the post-credit scene, we got Charlize Theron.
I gotta go blow my nose. I'm so sorry. I'll be right back.
That's
Keep
fine.
Talking about that. Sorry. At least
Actually,
we gave everybody like a heads up. Like we're
yeah.
not good right now.
Yeah, we're doing. Yeah, we're trying to. In fact, I'm gonna run an ad break while you're doing that.
Okay.
So you go ahead and do that. I'm gonna run an ad break, 60-second
Yeah.
ad break.
Yeah, you need water or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll be right
Yeah.
back.
All right. You okay?
Ugh. Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna go blow my nose. I'll be right back.
Okay.
You need something else. You need like gum. Do you have
That's
gum?
water.
I know, but you need something else, like with flavor to coat your throat, like something to coat your
Oh, I don't
throat.
have any. I'm out of gum.
You need something. Find something.
Ugh.
You can't talk that much and have your throat dry, and water ain't gonna help. Go get something. Juice something. Go.
I'm trying to think if I have orange juice or something. All right, hold on. All right, we're back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you guys for the concern. I appreciate that. I did go grab some soda, so hopefully that'll help.
Yeah.
That'll be great. I was totally confused, but America Chavez is also known as Miss America in the comics. Miss Marvel, Miss America Confusion, Tiny Brain. Yeah. Y'all's mics were on when the break started. Yeah, I forgot to hit mute on them, but then I saw the ad run, so I was like, okay, we're fine. While Chavez
heard
flies,
us talking about soda.
yeah, you were asking if I had gum. While
Yeah.
Chavez flies through dimensions, it's clear that there can be other heroes in other dimensions that could be bringing into Earth 616. Kid Loki, that was the other one I was trying to think of. Could also very well be their first villain that the Young Avengers face together in the future.
Wow.
We got Kid Loki.
Wow.
He was another one because Kid Loki is actually part of the Young Avengers,
Cool. Okay.
but at one point was also a villain.
Okay.
So that could be very interesting to see. But yeah, they're going a very different route. Thank you guys for keeping the conversation on point. I appreciate that. I also appreciate all the love and the ideas. I went with something fizzy, Requiem, so thank you there. So, yay, dancing penguin! Woo!
That's awesome.
Love that dancing penguin. So yeah, there's a lot to go on with the future. I understand. I just felt like I didn't think her introduction was forced by any stretch of the imagination. I just felt like it was lackluster and it was kind of lazy writing with the whole stand in this memory circle and watch your memories come to life kind of thing was kind of nah. I would have preferred maybe her actually just instead of like Doctor Strange watching it over her shoulder kind of thing, maybe a better discussion about it or like whatever. But it's either here something's coming loose now.
Poor thing. This freaking sucks.
Yeah. This is why we didn't do it on Monday because we were far worse on Monday.
Yeah,
there was just no way.
Really, yeah.
It'd have been like it's a comedy and and it's
horrible
and it's supposed to be funny. Yeah, this is wouldn't have worked. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I meant, Requiem. It was a cheap way to show little backstory. That's exactly what I meant. I didn't think it was forced.
Yeah. It's like they just had to do it. They had to do something.
Yeah, I just felt like a cheap way of doing it. But
they could have taken a lot from the Wanda parts and just built more on her. That would have been great. You wouldn't have gotten me complaining about that at all.
Yeah. Of course you wouldn't have complained about that. But no, I felt like what they did with the Wanda stuff, I actually felt they handled that with great care. Because
it was too much. It was way drawn out in some parts. I'm like, this is
I don't think so. In fact, my one complaint was the reveal was far too fast that she was the villain.
Well, that part, yeah, I understand that part.
I felt like it was like
scenes was just like.
Now, don't get me wrong. That trope of the whole the supposed good guy, but then they say the name of the person without ever being told it. When she says, you could bring America here, she'd be safe.
Oh yeah.
And then that step pause.
Yeah.
You never told me her name, did you? I love that. I think that is one of the best things in movies. No matter how you see it in thousands upon thousands of movies, and it never gets old to me. Mm-hmm. I love that trope.
But didn't you already hear that in your head before it even happened?
Yeah. The second she said her name, I'm like, oh.
Oh, that's
but the fact that was in we didn't get Wanda trying to quote unquote help at all. It was literally 30 seconds of good Wanda before rolling into her being a villain. But I appreciate how she, up until the very end, she's like, I'm not a villain. I'm not a monster. Yeah. I don't want to do this. You're forcing me to do this. I'm doing my best to hold back the Scarlet Witch.
Yeah.
I'm not the Scarlet Witch. I'm Wanda. I'm being rational. The Scarlet Witch, which is the evil power within me, I'm holding it back. But that's because she's corrupted by the Darkhold. And it was important to establish her being corrupted by the Darkhold because that leads to Doctor Strange's story and the fact that he was kind of forced to use the Darkhold. But not only he was kind of forced, but he was also kind of ego-driven. I can handle this. I just watched the most powerful being in the entire universe or multiverse, a Nexus level being. I watched her get corrupted by it, but I can handle it.
Yeah,
his ego came back in again, and we saw how that played out in the post-credit scenes. So also the Mercy thing of not going herself, I thought was a bit confusing. Okay, let's talk about that as well. How she was being merciful by not sending herself to get America, but by sending those demons to go get America Chavez. She said that she was being merciful. This is the Darkhold tricking her conscience. But it's also the fact that she knows if she goes, again, the Scarlet Witch could come out. The Scarlet Witch being this, again, a Nexus level being that is the utmost in chaos magic.
Yeah.
The Scarlet Witch makes Dormammu look like a cakewalk. That's the level of power the Scarlet Witch has.
Yeah.
The Darkhold was written specifically for her. And we find that out when they go to the mountain, where the Darkhold is actually inscribed on the walls. You see her throne. Did my camera freeze again? Son of a...
You're giving everybody a high five.
I know. I'm like, hey, talk to the hand. Zoom. It's Zoom. It's because it's telling me Zoom is not responding. So
that's
now you're frozen. Now you're frozen,
I'm frozen too. Do I have a stupid face?
You're looking down at your phone with a smile, so you're okay.
Oh.
Oh, there we go. We're back. Okay, good. Zoom, ever since the update, has been terrible. I apologize. I may have to look into something else. But yeah, I think that it was important to note, like, we very much established that both Doctor Strange and Wanda are two of the most powerful beings in the universe. But whereas she, technically, her whole thing was her kids.
Yeah.
Like, but she was completely corrupted by the Darkhold. I don't feel like Wanda had enough of a struggle with humanity for audiences to be able to sympathize with her. It would be nice to feel some other than disdain for her. Now, this goes for audience members who never watched WandaVision. Her actions in this movie make more sense if you'd watched WandaVision all the way through. Because what she did in WandaVision was all done by her subconscious. And in the end, she realized that she wanted to keep her family, but not hurt anybody to do it. However, in fighting Agatha and getting a hold of the Darkhold, and her having to give up her children and Vision because she had to let those people go. She had to let that town, she imprisoned an entire town. But she had to let them go. So in doing so, she had to sacrifice her children and her husband. So then she goes and is like, well, maybe I can find a way to harness my abilities using the Darkhold, which speaks about the Scarlet Witch, and I can find a way to find another form of my kids. I can find them in another universe. Her intention was never kill as many people as possible to get there. It was just, let me find a way to find my kids. Unfortunately for her, anybody who holds the Darkhold gets corrupted. You just don't see it. It's just the same as like the Doctor Strange from Earth 838, the one with Christine Palmer and the Illuminati. He was just trying to find a world where him and Christine were together. No, not that one. That was the one he went and visited and fought with the great music fight, which I loved. The music fight was amazing. I thought that was so cool and so Sam Raimi. But what was his reasoning? Why was he dreamwalking? Crap, I can't remember. Why was that Strange dreamwalking?
What are you talking about?
The one that they end up having to kill. The Black Bolt ends up killing. The Illuminati kills him because he admits to dreamwalking and creates an incursion. What was his reason for dreamwalking? Crap.
Ego. Because he can.
Yeah, I'm wondering, like... No, I'm not talking about our Doctor Strange, Jacques. I'm talking about the one that they killed. The one the Illuminati killed. Their Doctor Strange. The one they built the false statue for out front. The one they lied, said he died fighting Thanos. When in reality... Which, by the way...
He was dreamwalking because he saw that he had a plan that could fix everything.
Okay, that's right. Yeah. Now, speaking of dreamwalking, though, there has been theories that the world where the Illuminati is, or was, because they're all dead, that the Wanda that's there, the Wanda we saw at the end, the one who told her that, don't worry, these kids will be loved. And that's when Wanda realized she is the monster, and she goes and kills herself and deletes all the Darkholds.
Yeah.
But, remember, she dreamwalked into that universe's Wanda, and it was that universe's Wanda who killed everybody. Now, she wasn't in control, but everybody who knew it wasn't her is dead. Besides our Doctor Strange. So what about Sue Storm, whose husband was killed? What about Medusa, who's Black Bolt's wife? What about,
oh my God,
like everybody, like Baron Mordo, who's
this
still
is
alive?
Freaking insane! I'm so excited. There's a lot that they can do with this.
Yeah,
it's
so
cool.
That Wanda, who is a good Wanda, who was just taken over, could be considered a threat to these people, and she could be a target. So Elizabeth Olsen has already said her time is not done in the MCU. So
that's cool. I'm excited. It's neat.
He felt like she became a filler villain. Yes. So I will address the Dormammu point. I will address that a little bit later when we talk more about that post-credit scene. Actually, you know what? No, let's jump into it now. Let's do it.
How do
Um,
I get my chat room thing to refresh? I'm not seeing any of that on my Twitch. But
if
anyway, go
if
ahead.
you hit
I'll figure
refresh,
it out.
it actually erases chat if you hit refresh, so you miss it. So don't hit
Okay.
refresh.
Okay. Anyway, talk about your.
So yeah, in WandaVision, she's developed so much as a character. I felt in Doctor Strange she had so much potential to be more involved in a multiverse, but became a filler villain. I don't believe she was a filler villain here. I believe, like I said, I believe she was like almost. Remember how Loki he wanted to take over the world, but the reality was he was under the control of the Mind Stone from the Scepter, and we find all
Yeah.
that out through Loki.
Yeah.
In this again, she believes she's not like, look, I'm not trying to kill anyone. I'm not trying to destroy worlds. I'm just trying to find a world where I can be with my kids. But all of you are trying to keep me away from the kids, so I, like a mother bear, am defending
Yeah.
my cubs. The
Yeah.
reality was no. The Darkhold was making her destroy universes and kill people to create more chaos magic to make her more powerful.
She, yeah, but you're right about that. Like, she didn't even care. And even though Doctor Strange is like, your kids don't exist, like, you made them up.
Yeah.
Like, they don't exist. And she was like, I don't care.
She's
If
like, but
it's
they
there,
exist now.
if it's a reality that I can see them, and she played that whole scene for him
Yeah.
where he saw them together. It's like that I need to get there. That's where I want to be. So
And
Yeah.
that's just it. I don't feel like all that character building culminated into nothing. I felt like all that character building made sense because, again, she was a mama bear, but corrupted by the Darkhold. But like I said, Elizabeth Olsen is not done with the MCU. We now have a Wanda who does have her kids, who has never been corrupted by the Darkhold, who, by the way, the
Yeah.
Darkhold no longer exists, but she has her powers.
Yeah.
So we still have a good Wanda who got to raise her boys and not
Where
be
do those
conflicted.
boys come from, though? Like, you know what I mean? Like, that has to be a thing too that they address, because obviously a freaking machine and a
Yeah.
person cannot have kids. So
Well,
they
it's
have to-
obviously she's still incredibly powerful if she can change reality. She has reality warping abilities. So she was able to make these kids out of nothing.
right.
So that power still lies in this good Wanda. We can still get the House of M. We can still get the No More Mutants. We can get all those storylines that she wants to do can still happen. Because she's a very conflict. We saw that in when Xavier went into her head.
Mhm.
It went back to the rubble scene where she's pinned down by the rubble,
Yeah.
and that's straight out of WandaVision. But like there's still a lot of conflict in her. She's still a
Yeah.
great character.
Ugh, yeah.
I thought that the horror aspect, especially in the scene where she dreamwalks, where like she's walking by and there's a picture of her opening champagne, and then the picture looks at you on camera, and then there was ocean waves in the teacup and the peas rolling, and then she looks dead at camera when she finally took over the body. I thought that was great. I love the scene where she's coming up through the puddles. That transition of the tilted camera, pan up, zoom up. Oh, so Sam Raimi.
Yeah.
It was so good.
Let's talk about what we think about Wong, and like what we talked about. Like, we have that in our bullet points to talk about Wong.
Yeah, so while I may not agree with anybody that Wanda's characterization was lackluster, I think they did a great job with it. I think it's undeniable that Wong has had some of the best character development in all of the MCU, especially when compared to his comic book counterpart. Because his comic book counterpart is a incredibly racist bygone era 1960s Chinaman motif.
Yeah. Yeah.
Shaved head, slanted eyes, slave, always wearing a yellow Mandarin style outfit. Wong has proven to be possibly the new Nick Fury.
Yeah. I agree with that statement. That's pretty cool.
We saw him in Shang-Chi, both with in the fight club as well as in the end credits, welcoming, Shang-Chi to the Avengers and that whole thing with the 10 rings. We saw him in No Way Home. He's the Sorcerer Supreme.
Yeah.
I feel like, because like we are getting more Nick Fury coming up in Secret Invasion, which is filming right now. Nick Fury, I mean, like Samuel L. Jackson's almost 80.
Shut up. He doesn't age at all.
Yeah.
Jeez.
I'm gonna look up his actual age.
Oh my God. I remember him from Pulp Fiction. He still freaking looks the same. He doesn't age at all. I claim Vampire, like with Nicolas Cage.
He was born in 1948, so he's 73 years old.
Yeah, man. I hope I look like that at 73. He looks amazing.
Yeah. So obviously you can't have Nick Fury be Nick Fury forever, so you need a new character in the future to be that Nick Fury.
Yeah.
And I think that Wong is ending up being that character.
How funny is it that both their names are Benedict? Like, I just think that's hilarious.
Well, here's what's funny is that his real name is Benedict Wong. He's playing a character named Wong.
Yeah.
And he's co-starring alongside Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. But anyway, he is, I feel like he is the new Nick Fury on the spiritual sense of it, though. Like, Nick Fury has the
science side, the
science and like the muscle side of it, but
I think Wong is more of a Phil Coulson replacement.
No, he's way more than Phil Coulson.
Because in the MCU, because you got to remember, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is not canon to the MCU. It may be part of the multiverse, but it's not part of MCU 616. It is not part of that. So Phil Coulson existed for a few movies and then died.
Yeah.
And he was pretty much just there. Whereas Nick Fury has been a driving force to bring people together. Wong's doing that same thing. Wong is kind of like, I'm the Sorcerer Supreme, so yes, we have the Avengers, but I'm kind of the one in charge.
Yeah.
Captain Marvel's calling me. Bruce Banner's calling me.
Yeah.
They come when I say.
Yeah, and everybody bows.
Yeah, everybody bows to me. Yes. Not in an egotistical sense.
No.
For Wong, it's not an egotistical thing.
It's not at all, yeah.
But I do believe he's far more than a Phil Coulson of the MCU. Maybe I could compare him to a Phil Coulson of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but like I said, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is not canon to the MCU. It's just part of the outer multiverse of the MCU. Right. So I can't count that. But the fact that we do get, what's funny is like we talked about the quote unquote lackluster development of Wanda, but Wanda and Doctor Strange had the same character arc in this movie. To where they're not. I
don't know what that means. So
let me explain.
My noob thing. Yeah. Tell me what that means.
So just think about this. You have a character who is refusing to listen to other people because their ego is telling them what they're doing is right.
Right.
Until it blows up in their face and they have to eat crow and realize that, oh shit, my ego got the best of me and I was wrong.
Okay.
Wanda had that because she let the Darkhold corrupt her, and that was her ego. Mm-hmm. Doctor Strange, it's a little more obvious because he just has an ego.
Well, you can see him when he interacts with the other Doctor Stranges too. You can see that he identifies with, oh my God, I freaking hate this Doctor Strange.
Yeah, he's like, oh, you're an asshole.
Yeah.
But it's the same person. It's just like, but he also, that's ego. He's just like, oh, but I'm better than him. No, you are him.
I know you are.
And you might be worse because you're sitting there thinking you're better.
I know, right?
Your ego. But he does come around, and he does come around. However, he doesn't come around until after he already uses the Darkhold.
Yeah.
And even though the Darkhold has been deleted from the entire multiverse, he's still corrupted by it. Because as we find out at the end of the film, that third eye is still there.
Right.
But I will say that there is a lot of growth from Doctor Strange. I love the line, "I love you in every universe," when he's talking
Oh
to
yeah,
Christine. He has a chance to
yeah.
bring the 838 Christine along with him because she sees, like, oh, this is the man that I fell in love with in my universe, but he's better because he did use the dark hole, but he gave it up right away too. Like,
Mm,
he didn't get corrupted by it as much, as it turns out. He, like,
well,
this is a better man. So she was ready to go with him, but he was like, I love you in every universe, but your universe needs you now more than ever. The Illuminati is gone.
yeah.
So he sent
So
her on his
I'm
way.
gonna
Like, he knew that as much as he loved her, it was never meant, it just wasn't meant to be.
I'm gonna
So,
blow my nose. Talk about that 616 thing that people are like freaking out about,
yeah,
like huge comic book fans and all, BRB.
yeah. So, um, actually, I'm going to, you know what? My nose is running too. We're going to take one more quick 1 minute ad break. We're going to blow our noses. We'll be right back. Okay, we are back. Sorry guys, but it is what it is. Plus, we got
Yeah.
to run these ads and everything anyways, so got to pay the bill somehow. Um, so, uh, Requiem, you mentioned the or you mentioned Dormammu a little bit earlier, so I'm gonna go to that mid credit scene where Doctor Strange is walking down the street, and all of a sudden Charlize Theron pops up out of nowhere and
Yeah.
says, "You've created incursion. I need you to come with me." And he's like, "All right, I'm ready." And his third eye pops up. She cuts open what looks like just cuts open the universe to what looks like the dark dimension, and they go through. Sure enough, that was the dark dimension because
Okay.
Clea is the niece of Dormammu.
Shut
She is
up.
also the sorcerer supreme of the dark dimension.
Uh,
She also eventually becomes Doctor Strange's wife.
it's so funny because he had some shit to say
Um,
about him, didn't he?
yeah,
This guy messed with me for freaking centuries or however long Doctor Strange was dying on
yeah,
that.
yeah. I can't imagine that going very well with hey Unc, come meet my husband. Oh, this
Yeah,
dude, really?
yeah.
But
You would have to respect him, wouldn't you? Like at that point, come on.
he's the only mortal to ever best
Yeah,
Dormammu at that point at least in the
come on.
MCU. See, in the comic books, and this will lead us into the 616 conversation here shortly. Dormammu is more of a being and not this larger than life uh, entity. But so yes, that is Clea that she is playing. Um, she is the Sorcerer Supreme of the Dark Dimension, and the fact that they kept saying the word incursion is very interesting to me, and this is what a lot of theories right now are going on. Incursion led to the Secret Wars. And I'm not talking the original 1984 Secret Wars, I'm talking Secret Wars 2, where the Secret Wars is an event where they actually collapsed the multiverse into a singular universe. Because you had the
When did
Ultimates.
that happen?
You had say what?
When? Like what?
That was in 2016, 2015.
Is that in a comic book?
Yeah, in the comic books is what I'm talking about right now. So
Okay,
in the
but
comic books, they
yeah.
had the Ultimates universe. They had the regular Marvel 616. They had the 2099 universe. They had the all these different universes, and Doctor Doom was able to develop godlike powers. I believe he stole them from the Beyonder, who was the first person to do the Secret Wars.
What's
and
that? And where's that person in the movies?
The Beyonder's not in the movies.
Oh.
And I don't know if he'll be a character they bring up, because he was he was very 1970s. But if they did, he would be related to the Grand Master and the Collector. So Jeff Goldblum's character and to Benicio del Toro's characters.
Oh, okay.
He would be related to them. He'd be a brother to them. But Doctor Doom is able to collapse all these worlds into one world called Battle World.
Mm-hmm.
And this was done via incursions,
Right.
where two planets collide together. If you don't destroy, or not planets, universes. So
Right.
you have 8 hours to either destroy this incoming universe or both universes are destroyed. But Doctor Doom was able to turn this all into one world, created the Battle World, took control over everything. And so a lot of people are thinking that the reason they kept using the word incursion throughout this film, it's leading to Secret Wars. And the other reason people think that is because the Russo brothers, the directors behind Winter Soldier, Civil War, Infinity War, and Endgame, you know, the biggest movies in all of Marvel, they said they would come back if they could do Secret Wars.
Wow, neat.
That would be the other project they would want to do.
That would be so much fun, I think.
Yeah. So, and we have Secret Invasion coming up, which should be interesting. And could that lead into it? And we just got introduced to a version of Reed Richards who plays a big part in this. Because obviously, if you have a Reed Richards, you can have a Doctor Doom. Because they are each other's opposite. They are college best friends turned bitter enemies.
Yeah.
Both geniuses, you know, etc.
Seems like we have a lot to look forward to.
Yeah.
I think like we're coming down to the last part of our thing. So it seems like the only thing we left out from our notes was that dreams are like you being in a different.
Yeah, and I don't necessarily feel we need to cover that as much as I need to cover the fan service of the Illuminati.
Yes, do that.
And by the way, we're not on a time limit, so we're good on time. I'm not worried about that. Normally this goes 2 hours, so whatever.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah, so we're good on time. That's why we start at 7 and not at 8 on this one. But the Illuminati, it was Baron Mordo as Sorcerer Supreme because their version was dead. We got Captain Carter, the first Avenger. So in that universe, similar to what happened in What If, she took the serum and not Steve Rogers.
Right.
We got Maria Rambeau as Captain Marvel. So she was the one who got hit with the beam versus Carol Danvers.
Uh-huh.
We got Black Bolt. Blackagon, I can't even say his name. It's so stupid. But Black Bolt, who I think is one of the best characters in comics, he's so underrated. One of the most powerful. The guy can whisper a planet's destruction. He's that powerful. He doesn't speak. But they got Anson Mount, who was in the absolutely horrific Inhumans TV show. He played Black Bolt in that, and they brought him back. They brought back Patrick Stewart as Professor X.
Yeah.
But they brought him as a kind of closer to the animated series with that big yellow hover chair. In fact, as he wheeled into scene, the orchestra played the 1997 X-Men theme from the cartoon.
And people lost their minds in the theater. They were like clapping and everything. I was like, awesome. Everybody was like, oh my God.
I have only ever fist pumped once in a movie, and I did it in this movie. When John Krasinski came through that square portal as Mr. Fantastic. Now, I want to say this about that. Yes, all those characters are dead. I get it. The writer has said that Professor X was not tied to any other version that we've seen before. Meaning that this universe did not tie to it isn't tied to the old X-Men movies. It didn't tie to Logan. It didn't tie to anything else. So that's good. Those still exist out there. But yes, we got, Wanda horrifically killed everybody in the Illuminati. I think Mr. Fantastic got it the worst. Being pulled apart like spaghetti before his head exploded. But Black Bolt was pretty cruel too. Taking away his mouth and causing him to panic to say something and it blowing back and blowing his head out. That was crazy. But just because this version of John Krasinski's Mr. Fantastic died doesn't mean we can't get John Krasinski to come back and actually play in the upcoming Fantastic Four film. I think he did a great job with what little time he had. And also, John Watts, who directed the 3 Tom Holland Spider-Man movies, has decided to step away from directing the Fantastic Four movie. He was going to direct it.
Oh, okay.
But he's overwhelmed by these big epic movies. He wants to take a step back, do a couple little indie things, because he's already signed on to do the next Spider-Man movie. So he wants to take some time before going back into the epic stuff. John Krasinski is a hell of a director. A Quiet Place and A Quiet Place 2 are phenomenal films. Phenomenal films, and he directed those. You could get a Fantastic Four movie directed by John Krasinski, starring John Krasinski, and possibly his wife, Emily Blunt, as Invisible Woman.
That would be amazing if that was true, because she's a really good actress. I like her a lot.
Yeah, so Lord knows who you get to play the Thing and who you get to play Human Torch. I've seen a lot of people say that. True. A lot of people have said Zac Efron for Human Torch. I actually like that idea.
I could see that. Me
I
too.
like that idea a lot.
Yeah.
And funny enough, there's a new version of the movie.
Ooh.
Okay, go.
What about the kid from the Percy Jackson movies?
He is just falling completely off the grid. I know exactly who you're talking about.
So why not bring him back?
But I think he's falling off for the wrong reasons.
But he's also in The Maze. Isn't that the same?
No, that's Dylan O'Brien.
Okay, well, he would be good too.
Well, Dylan O'Brien,
Maze Runner ones.
Dylan O'Brien right now. Dylan O'Brien is supposedly going to be playing Nightwing in the upcoming DC universe.
Okay.
But now there's a new rumor saying that he could replace Ezra Miller as the Flash, because Ezra Miller's gotten into a lot of trouble and a lot of stuff going on.
I don't really like that dude anyway, so
yeah. We're
good. I didn't even see him as the Flash to begin with. That made me
angry. No, he's terrible as a Flash. But I think Zac Efron,
the dude from Percy Jackson would be awesome.
Yeah, but I think he's he's in jail or something like that. Like, he's not doing well. What? I think he got into some really bad stuff. I saw a lot of people so Zac Efron is the one that has come up, and I'm like, I actually like that casting. Yeah, he's got a movie coming up. So Firestarter is an old Stephen King movie. They've redone the movie in a more superhero style with Zac Efron as the dad in that. So he's familiar with that kind of role. And Zac Efron has really grown up into be a hell of an actor. He's actually really good. Yeah. So I think that he would actually be a good Human Torch. Do you want to know the name that keeps coming up for the Thing, which I find weird? Seth Rogen.
That's awesome. I love Seth Rogen. Yes.
And at first I'm like, no, but then I'm like,
yes.
Yeah, I kind of get it. But the other name,
He has my vote. I
The
love
other name has
him.
come up, and it might be weird to do because we don't know if Red Guardian's ever coming back. Is David Harbour?
Who's that?
He played the Red Guardian in the Black Widow movie.
Oh, okay.
Her dad, the
Okay.
he's also in Stranger Things. He plays the cop in Stranger Things. I love David
Yes.
Harbour.
I
He's
like
awesome.
what they said. Freaking Jessica Alba sucks. She's just really pretty. She's horrible at acting.
Yeah, she's not great.
No.
And I've heard horror
Yeah,
stories about
no.
her on set from like Jensen Ackles, who I love. Jensen Ackles, there's
And
another one who could play the Human Torch.
Emily Blunt, I'm all about. She's freaking awesome in Edge of Tomorrow.
Yeah, she's
She's
great.
just badass.
She's
I
great.
would.
You know another person who could, like, if they don't get John Krasinski and Emily Blunt, if they get somebody else,
Mm,
Bryce Dallas Howard could probably play Sue Storm.
who?
She's in Jurassic World.
Oh no, I don't see that.
I kind of think I do see that one, but I've seen her in other stuff. That's why I say that.
No.
But yeah, so like, but I mean, with the fact that there's no director now for the film, and it's still on the slate to come out late,
Yeah.
like and John Krasinski also, his Jack Ryan Amazon TV series, it just wrapped up its final season. So
Okay.
his schedule just opened up. So John Krasinski, I would like to see him take over the Fantastic Four movie as both director and actor because he's great. And that would, like I said, that would also mean, and his Emily Blunt was originally supposed to play Black Widow,
Oh.
and she
Okay.
turned it down. And she said that's her biggest regret in all of her acting career was turning down the role of Black Widow. And she loves what Scarlett Johansson has done for the character, but
Yeah.
she realizes that what she gave up in doing so. So she said that if something ever comes up from Marvel again, she's not going to turn it down.
Oh, Megan Good. She would be great as Invisible Girl.
Yeah.
I would love to see
Honestly, though, the
her in
thing is,
that role.
just a good quality female actress is what you need for Sue
Yeah.
Storm. That's the thing about Sue Storm is like
Yeah.
you don't need a niche style actress. You just need a very solid. Like honestly,
Okay.
Meryl Streep 20 years ago.
Oh my God. Yeah. Freaking
Like
Meryl Streep all the time. Like you
yeah,
will never
like
hear me
there's
say no to her.
as long as you have a solid like
Yeah.
capable like there's very few actresses that I can think of that are great that'd be like Anne Hathaway to me maybe not.
No, no, she has. She
Um
does. She's a little bit no.
yeah, there's a little
Megan
off.
Good. I think that
But
that's something
I
to
think
look at.
Megan Good. Yeah. Again, you just need a quality actress who
Mm,
doesn't feel like a niche.
right.
And that's what I said about Anne Hathaway. She feels like a niche. So
Yeah, she
like
does. Yeah.
that wouldn't work.
No.
Um but there's one other cameo that we didn't talk about yet that I think is the most important cameo out of all of these. I understand John Krasinski. That's huge. Patrick Stewart, massive. Anson Mount, Haley Atwell, all of these massive. But there's one that is far more important than any other cameo, and that's Bruce Campbell, ladies and gentlemen. It is not a Sam Raimi movie until you see Bruce Campbell's amazing chin on screen. And by God, did we get it with the Pizza Papa. That was amazing. And then we got that like Ferris Bueller style post-credit scene, like, oh, it's over. Like it was just great. I love Bruce Campbell to death. I told you I watched Army of Darkness the night before just to get ready for this. And then the whole like him punching himself was right out of Evil Dead 2. It was just so good. I love Bruce Campbell. The Avengers of Briscoe County Jr. is still the greatest television show that ever existed. I will hear no remarks. That's it. There's no debate on that. Avengers of Briscoe County Jr. is phenomenal. It was a Western with superpowers. The guy was a bounty hunter in the Old West, and suddenly this meteor fell and it gave him powers. It was the most ridiculous show ever, and it was great. It had him and his like his rival bounty hunter, who eventually became his best friend, was the guy from the Last Dragon, the Bruce Leroy story.
Oh, cool.
He was the
Okay.
Shogun. He was the Shogun.
Nice.
Show
Okay.
enough.
Yes.
That was him. You had Bruce
That's
Campbell.
awesome.
You had Ash Williams from Evil Dead, and you had Sho'nuff, the Last Dragon,
That's
leading this
awesome.
show about a cowboy with a meteor that gave him powers. Are you kidding me? So good. Love that show. Bruce Campbell's the man. And,
Yes.
by the way, for all my video game addicts out there, there's a new Evil Dead game coming out where you can play, it's co-op. So you pick one character from any of the Evil Dead movies that includes Army of the Darkness, that includes Ash vs. the Evil Dead. Or you can play as the demon and you have to chase down people.
Oh, cool.
It's amazing. And
That's awesome.
Bruce Campbell does the voices for it. Oh, just,
That's awesome.
oh, so good.
When does that come out?
Very soon. Like it might actually be out now.
Hey.
It might have just
Oh,
come
okay.
out like the other day, or if not, it'll be at the end of the
Who's
month.
Adrian Pickering? Who's that?
Adrian Pickering could pull off Stu Storm, methinks. Why does that name
Who's that?
sound vaguely familiar? I will look it up.
Is that the UFC chick? I know like there's a really hot UFC chick and her name is Adrian something.
No, she is no longer getting
okay.
picked in any roles because she came out and said that neo-Nazis were good people.
Oh wow, okay, awesome. So
Yeah.
you're not cute anymore.
Yep.
Awesome.
She is an Australian actress who has played a lot of crappy movies.
Ooh, what about the chick from Transformers? The blonde one though, not Megan Fox. Like the
No, she's not a good actress.
Oh, okay.
She's not.
She's just
She's a
okay.
model
Oh, that's it.
that just
okay.
got put in that role. So Adrian Pickering was in the movie Knowing with Nicolas Cage.
Oh, I know that movie. Was she
Yeah.
the little girl though?
No, she
Where
was.
was she in? What was her role in that one? 'Cause I
She
know that movie.
she played Allison in that movie, but I don't remember Allison in the movie.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know.
I still go with Megan Good. I think she would be cool.
Yeah, I think Megan Good's a better choice if you're not gonna get Emily Blunt.
Yeah.
Oh, Evil Dead comes out Friday. Thank you, Jacques.
Nice. Yay. All right. So you haven't missed anything yet.
Yeah, that game. Like, I'm not one for co-op games normally. Like, I don't do a lot of co-op. I find it irritating. But that's a game I'm gonna get and I will play because I freaking love Evil Dead. And
Sweet.
I
Is
don't
it on
care.
all platforms or?
I believe so. Yes,
Well then, sweet. I'll get it too.
we should get it in like straight up play
Destroy
it.
some stuff.
The only
Yeah.
I know it's probably not on Switch.
I don't have Switch.
No, let me see which platforms it's on. Evil
No,
Dead.
we don't have to. We can look that up later.
Yeah.
Anyway, so another thing that we needed to talk about was the
Oh my God, it is on Switch. That's funny.
Yay.
Anyways, it'll be on all platforms. So yeah.
we covered all our stuff.
Did we?
So
Let me look at the notes
yeah,
again.
I don't think we missed anything.
We talked about Vision. We didn't talk about.
Yeah.
So this is the one point where I do feel like her story kind of like where they missed on Wanda's story was the lack of talk about Vision. Like he's not mentioned at all. And the fact is like, so the Illuminati in their universe had Ultron at some point because the Ultron bots that they had that were their security, those were the ones that Ultron created after the Avengers stole his Vision body. So that means Vision exists somewhere there. Obviously, in the original MCU 616. Oh, I got to talk about the 616.
All I hear is like Eminem. Everybody from the 313.
I know. But all right, Jacques. We'll talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.
So after WandaVision, there is a Vision that's still out there, but he is in the middle of an existential crisis because he was rebirthed by Sword and then given all his memories from the magic created Vision all at once. And there was this whole theoretical debate they had about, is something real even if it's rebuilt? Like, is it still the same thing? Is it the same thing? It's called the Theseus ship paradox. It's this whole.
Okay.
It's a real paradox that exists. But regardless, um, so Vision exists somewhere, but he's not brought up at all.
Hmm.
And I find that kind of weird because Wanda was so upset. Like, she even mentions she
Yeah.
had to kill
Yeah.
the love of her life, and for
Yeah.
nothing because you gave away the time stone.
Right.
So,
Yes.
like, the fact that she brought that up, but doesn't mention him by name, and the fact that Vision's not brought up at all, I thought was very weird.
Yeah, I agree.
That feels
Yeah.
weird to me.
Yeah, like he wasn't even in. Why wouldn't he have been in those visions as well, or in those?
Yeah, why is he not with the family on the other planet?
Right. Too. Like, yeah, I don't. Yeah.
Like, why would she
Why
create
isn't
those
this-
kids if she didn't have a relationship in the first place?
Right.
Like, there's this whole thing.
Yeah.
Like, she wanted a family with Vision, and the whole
That's
reason.
what I'm saying.
So there was a whole weird. There's a weird part there,
Yeah.
and we'll have to see what happens with there. But the other thing is this 616 thing. So up until now, or up until recently, the MCU has been designated as Marvel 199999 because
Okay.
the comic books are Marvel 616. They are the 616th universe in this multiverse.
Okay.
Now, even though in Spider-Man Far From Home, Quentin Beck called it Marvel 616, but he was just making it up. So it is kind of weird that he happened to fall on that. His writing
Okay.
team fell on that. But
Okay.
Christine Palmer in the Illuminati universe of Marvel 838
Yeah.
has become the expert on the multiverse.
Yeah.
And she, has diagnosed the main MCU universe as Marvel 616.
Uh-huh.
Now, because the MCU does not follow the comics exactly, which you cannot do because that's impossible,
Yeah.
this has upset a lot of people because, wait, how can you sit there and say that this is Marvel 616 when it doesn't follow the comic books? I had a discussion with a friend of mine, and he laid it out like this. In all the visual medium of television, movies, stuff like that, this is Marvel 616. But it does not connect to the comic book multiverse in any way. So the comic book multiverse is completely separate from the visual medium multiverse. So the live action and the cartoons of What If and whatever, they don't tie into the comic books at all. You can't cross them over. So
Okay.
because the main comic book continuity is Marvel 616, they have decided to make the main MCU the 616 as well.
Okay.
How this plays out, we won't know. This is all brand new. I still trust Kevin Feige. I still trust what they're doing. So if this is what they've done, there's a reason behind it.
Yeah.
But for now, we need to take a step back and realize that they're not saying that the MCU is the comic universe. They're just calling it the 616. And it may just be because it's been the 616 for so many decades that
That's
it's
what
just
people are comfortable with.
yeah. So, oh, hi keyboard.
Oh no! Hi keyboard.
They just want to say that. So I'm glad we got that out the way. We talked a little bit about the fact that this is a very Sam Raimi film.
So strange short.
Hey,
There you go. Hey.
this movie was very much. If you're a Sam Raimi fan, you saw all kinds of fun things. When it comes to Sam, there was all kinds of nods to Sam Raimi, not just the Bruce Campbell cameo. It was all there. It was all great. So I'm gonna go see it again as soon as I get some clearance on whether or not I actually have COVID. Or when quarantine is over, I will go see it again.
Yes. Me too.
I definitely feel like there were some things I missed. It'll be worth seeing again. Next week, my good friend and longtime collaborator Michael Rothman, aka Superhero Talk, he'll be back from London, and he and I are going to dive deeper into the movie because he actually got to talk. He got to do some interviews with some of the cast and some of the directors and the writers and stuff. So he'll have a little more insight on some things.
Oh, that's cool. That's next week.
Yeah, so next week, make sure you tune in.
Awesome.
We're gonna
I'll be in the chat. That's awesome.
So we're gonna dive more into the movie. Hopefully, you and I will get some negative tests and we can go see the movie again.
That would be great. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, so next week tune into that. Of course, if you're watching this on Twitch, please please hit the follow button. If you can subscribe, that helps us out a ton. If you have Prime subscriptions, you can use that Jeffrey Bezos money to have him pay for it. That's always helpful. Requiem, thank you so much for chilling out. Hopefully we'll see you next week. I appreciate your insight. You had some great comments. Thank you so much. If you're checking us out on YouTube, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Denise, you have anything?
Thank you so much. Yeah, I just want to, like, it kind of worked out great. I'm sad that your, person, well, actually not sad because
No,
he's
it worked
in
out
London. Great. And yeah, so I got to fill in. It was awesome. So I had a lot of fun being a guest host on this episode because we're normally on our Monday show.
Yep.
So
Mondays we have the Depths of Laughter podcast where we dive into the emotions behind the joke. It's all about stand-up comedy and the trauma behind it. So if you want to check that out, it's on the same channel, 8 p.m. Eastern every Monday. We missed last week because we were all sick, but we'll be back next week for sure. So tune in for that as well. And ladies and gentlemen, as the great Pat McAfee says, be a friend, tell a friend, spread the word. And we will see you guys next week.